In 1983, John Carpenter's Christine brought Stephen King's Killer Car to the big screen and introduced us to a cast full of rising stars and memorable faces. But what happened to the cast after the lights went down? Here's a look at the lives, careers, and surprises of the Christine cast more than 40 years later. Harry Dean Stanton as Detective Rudy Junkins. Harry Dean Stanton, born July 14, 1926 in West Irvine, Kentucky, brought a special charm to the role of Detective Rudy Junkins in Christine. At 56, when the film was released in 1983, Stanton had already established himself as one of Hollywood's most reliable villains. In Christine, his role as a quiet, curious detective who gradually uncovers the unusual truth behind a series of car accident deaths forms the film's moral point. Although he does not play the lead role, his calm, experienced demeanor provides a sober balance to the film's supernatural elements. Stanton's career is both unconventional and prolific. Before playing Christine, he made history in films such as Rebel, The Godfather Part 2, Aliens, and Escape from New York. His roles are rarely flashy but always memorable, imbued with subtlety, emotion, and authenticity that highlights even the smallest details. Just a year after Christine, Stanton landed his most memorable role in Paris, Texas, playing a mute drifter trying to find his lost family. The film won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and remains a masterpiece of underrated acting. Stanton also pursued a music career, often performing folk and country songs in intimate venues. He counted Bob Dylan, Jack Nicholson, and Hunter S. Thompson among his closest friends, and was often described as a silent observer of the Hollywood chaos that surrounded him. Stanton never married or had children. He lived a simple life in Los Angeles, valuing personal freedom and artistic truth above material success. In recent years, he appeared in the films Green Mile, Big Love, and Lucky, his last film. He also memorably returned to the David Lynch universe in Twin Peaks: The Return. Harry Dean Stanton died on September 15, 2017 of natural causes at the age of 91. His net worth is estimated at $10 million. Although he never sought fame, his influence is undeniable. In Christine, as in life, Stanton excels by doing less, but with greater purpose. Robert Prosky as Will Darnell. Robert Prosky, born December 13, 1930 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was 52 years old when he played Will Darnell in Christine. As the gruff but cunning auto dealership owner played by Darnell, Prosky imbued the role with a realistic menace that heightened the film's tension. Darnell, a shady agent who flouts the law as long as it benefits him, is both villain and survivor, a trait perfectly captured by Prosky's deep voice and commanding screen presence. Although Christine was only his second feature film, Prosky had a wealth of experience. An accomplished actor, he spent more than 2 decades performing at the Arena Theater in Washington, D.C., becoming one of its most respected actors. He made his Broadway debut in 1980 in A View from the Bridge, but his role as Shelley Levine in David Mamet's Glengarry Glen Ross earned him critical acclaim and a Tony Award nomination. After Christina, Prosky's reputation in Hollywood grew. He became known for his warm and sincere roles such as the kindly television boss in Mrs. Doubtfire and the complex prison priest in The Walking Dead. He also appeared in Gremlins 2 and had a supporting role in the popular television series Grimm on Hill Street. His performances were always varied and never forced, even when the material was a bit melodramatic. In his private life, Prosky led a peaceful and dedicated family life. He married his wife Ida Hove in the early 1960s, and they were together for over 45 years. They raised 3 sons, John, Andy, and Stefan, 2 of whom followed in his footsteps. Despite failing health in the 2000s due to heart disease, he continued to work until his death on December 8, 2008, just days before his 78th birthday. His net worth was estimated at $2 million at the time, a modest sum considering his prolificacy and stellar reputation. Robert Prosky, however, never sought fame. Instead, he built his career on strength, depth, and poise. His role as Will Darnell in Christine remains the best example of how a seasoned actor can transform a supporting role into something memorable. Bruce French as Mr. Smith. Bruce French, born July 4, 1945 in Rhinebeck, Iowa, was 38 years old when he played Mr. Smith in Christine. Despite his limited screen time, French made a lasting impression as Arnie Cunningham's high school teacher. A man who, despite his stern exterior, exuded genuine concern for his students. In a film filled with supernatural threats and teenage rebellion, French Mr. Smith offered a brief but poignant look at adult responsibility and compassion. It's a role that Bruce French masters quietly, subtly, and with a touch of subtle realism. A graduate of the University of Iowa, French honed his acting skills in local theater before moving on to film and television. His career spans over 4 decades and includes a long list of supporting roles in major and independent productions. He is known in Hollywood as a reliable and down-to-earth actor, often cast in roles such as doctors, judges, teachers, and authority figures. Roles that require a level of gravitas and calm demeanor. His credits include Fletch, Jurassic Park 3, Mr. Deeds, and Mission Impossible 3. On television, he is known for guest appearances in popular series such as The West Wing, Boston Legal, Crossing Jordan, and Desperate Housewives. In 2007, he received critical acclaim for his role as Father Todd Williams in the television series Passions, for which he was nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award. In his private life, Bruce French leads a quiet and passionate life. In 1991, he married the actress and singer Eileen Barnett, known for her performances on Broadway and in cabarets. The couple, admired in the theater world for their warmth and closeness, remained together for more than 3 decades. Friends described them as kind, down-to-earth, and dedicated. Towards the end of his life, French struggled with mental deterioration due to Alzheimer's disease. As his health deteriorated, he withdrew from public life and retired. He passed away peacefully on February 7, 2025, at the age of 79. Although his net worth at the time of his death was estimated at less than $1 million, Bruce French's legacy cannot be measured in dollars. His career, from cameos in classic films like Christine to regular television roles, has demonstrated the importance of villains. They may not always be in the limelight, but they are the quiet architects of cinematic authenticity. Robert Darnell as Michael Cunningham. Robert Darnell, born September 26, 1930 in Los Angeles, was 53 years old when he played Michael Cunningham, Arnie's concerned but helpless father. His role in Christine is subtle but crucial. The film's psychological realism revolves around Arnie's strained relationship with his parents, and his portrayal of Darnell, a man who silently witnesses the death of his son, is authentic and tragic. Darnell is not a big movie star, but he is a respected stage and television actor. He was a regular at the Loretto Hilton Repertory Theater and appeared as a special guest on shows such as Hill Street Blues and Remington Steele. His work was characterized by seriousness and discretion, which made him an ideal candidate for fatherly or authoritarian roles. His personal life was turbulent. He was married twice, first to Caroline Rothman in the 1960s, and had 2 children who later entered the entertainment industry. His second marriage, to Loretta Shoemaker, also ended in divorce. Friends noted that while he was devoted to his career, personal happiness often eluded him. In the late 1980s, Darnell was diagnosed with cancer, which forced him to retire from acting. His illness was kept secret, and he died on January 27, 1991, at the age of 60. He passed away in peace, leaving behind his children and grandchildren. His net worth was modest, but his legacy lies in the honesty he brought to every scene. In Christine, his presence grounded the horror in something profound: a broken family. Although little known, Robert Darnell was a consummate professional, a face that audiences recognized even without knowing his name. Kelly Preston as Roseanne. Born on October 13, 1962 in Honolulu, Hawaii, Kelly Preston made her screen debut in the movie Christine at the age of 20. Although uncredited and largely unnoticed, perhaps only appearing briefly as a student, her appearance in the film was a small but charming touch at the start of a career that would soon blossom. Her name is not listed in the credits, and fans are still debating the exact scene she appeared in, but many believe she appeared briefly in a hallway or school cafeteria. Christine may not have been a full-time actress, but it was her first foray into Hollywood. Kelly Preston quickly rose to fame. In the mid-1980s, she landed leading roles in films such as Mischief and Space Camp. And in 1988, she had her breakthrough starring opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito in Gemini. Among her most famous roles are Jerry Maguire, in which she played the fiery and unforgettable ex-girlfriend of Tom Cruise, and For Love of the Game, in which she starred alongside Kevin Costner in a touching romantic drama. Preston's charm, beauty, and genuine charisma made her one of the most sought-after actresses by audiences and directors. But even more attention was drawn to her off-screen life, especially her love story with John Travolta. The couple married in 1991 and had 3 children, Jet, Ella Blue, and Benjamin. They were known not only for their fame, but also for their loyalty, strength, and devotion to their family, even in the face of deep sorrow. This grief came to a tragic end in 2009 when their eldest son, Jet, died suddenly during a family vacation in the Bahamas. Diagnosed with autism and epilepsy, Jet's death devastated the family. Kelly later became an activist for children with special needs and quietly supported autism charities. Meanwhile, Preston had been battling breast cancer for more than 2 years and kept her diagnosis a secret. On July 12, 2020, she passed away at the age of 57, surrounded by her loved ones. Her death shocked fans as few understood the severity of her illness. John Travolta paid tribute to her courage, calling her a beautiful, radiant, and compassionate woman who always cared for others. At the time of her death, Preston's net worth, much of which she shared with Travolta, was estimated at $180 million, reflecting decades of success in film and real estate. Although her appearance in Christine was a fleeting moment on screen, her legacy as a respected actress, devoted mother, and strong woman has secured her a place in Hollywood's memory. Keith Gordon as Arnie Cunningham. There are few transformations in Christine that are as moving, tragic, and human as Arnie Cunningham's. At the age of 22, Keith Gordon delivered a disturbing and unforgettable performance. Born on February 3, 1961 in New York, Gordon brought immense intellectual power to the role of Arnie, an awkward, bespectacled teenager who descends into obsession and darkness after falling in love with a mysterious 1958 Plymouth Fury. What made Gordon's performance memorable was not just the physical transformation, Arnie's gradual transformation from stuttering outcast to cold and dangerous rebel, but also the psychological nuances behind it. Not only does he act like he's being chased by a car, he also embodies a slow, honest breakdown, where desire, resentment, and anger simmer just below the surface. His cool style, changing poses, and striking facial expressions made Arnie one of the most iconic and tragic horror figures of the 1980s. While Christine became a beloved character, Gordon never followed the traditional Hollywood romance path. He appeared in Brian De Palma's Jaws 2 and Dressed to Kill, but fame was less appealing than storytelling ability. Instead of basking in the spotlight, Keith Gordon turned to directing, building a career defined not by fame but by deep artistry. His debut film, A Midnight Clear, was praised for its emotional intelligence and poignant anti-war message. He then directed The Chocolate War, a dark adaptation of Robert Cormier's novel. and went on to direct episodes of critically acclaimed series such as Dexter, The Killing, Fargo, and Homeland. His quiet talent behind the camera has earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most introspective and underrated actors. Off-camera, Gordon kept his privacy under wraps. He married Rachel Griffin in 1998, and the couple largely avoided the limelight. Gordon, now 64, remains active in the industry, carefully selecting projects that align with his vision and values. He may not be a household name, but his legacy goes beyond fame. In some ways, Keith Gordon's trajectory mirrors that of Arnie Cunningham, only in reverse. While Arnie was immersed in the fame machine, Gordon moved away from him to pursue his own creative journey. Alexandra Paul as Lee Cabot in Christine. Lee Cabot is not your typical horror movie girl. She's smart, realistic, and not afraid to speak her truth, even if it means facing the darkness growing inside the man she loves. Alexandra Paul, then 20, brought unexpected strength to the role, adding humanity and pathos to a tale of obsession, and a killer car. Born on July 29, 1963 in New York, Alexandra Paul Lee brought more than beauty. She also brought intelligence and quiet strength. As Arnie transformed before her eyes, Lee didn't even flinch. She pushed him. She questioned him. She fought for him. This resilience has helped her stand out in a genre often dominated by scream queens and damsels in distress. Paul's role elevated Christine from a simple supernatural thriller to a heroic story centered on the cost of losing a loved one to something beyond their control. After Christina, Paul's career took off. She appeared in numerous television series in the 1980s before landing her most iconic role as Stephanie Holden on Baywatch. With her athletic physique and impressive appearance, Paul has become a global star, admired not only for her beauty but also for her sense of purpose on screen. As the captain of the rescuers in one of the world's most watched series, she embodied strength and composure under pressure. But behind the scenes, Alexandra Paul is quietly redefining what it means to be a public figure. A certified health coach, dedicated triathlete, and dedicated vegan, Paul has become a staunch advocate for the environment, animal rights, and nuclear disarmament. Her activism is more than just symbolic. She was arrested several times for nonviolent civil disobedience, but she always remained true to her beliefs. In 2000, she married Ian Murray, a triathlon coach who shares her passion for health and a balanced lifestyle. Together, they built a life focused on health, integrity, and simplicity. In 2025, Paul is 62 years old, full of energy and still active physically and mentally. Although she has moved away from mainstream Hollywood, she continues to appear in independent films and documentaries that reflect her values. Alexandra Paul's story is a true reflection of the character she plays. Brave, self-aware, and persistent, in the world of fleeting fame, she chose a deeper path and never looked back. John Stockwell as Dennis Gilder. In Christine, as Arnie Cunningham descends into darkness, Dennis Gilder struggles to keep the light burning. Gentle, strong, and quietly busy, he plays Dennis John Stockwell, who becomes the emotional backbone of the film, the best friend who never gives up even when the person you fight for leaves you. Born on March 25, 1961 in Galveston, Texas, John Stockwell was just 22 years old when he took on the role of Dennis. Athletic, down-to-earth, and instantly likable, Stockwell brought an honesty to his character that balanced the supernatural horror film with genuine emotion. His performance made Dennis less of a supporting character and more of a conscience. A young man torn between loyalty and helplessness, as his best friend sinks deeper into something he can't understand. Stockwell's acting career continued to flourish after Christine. He played Cougar in Top Gun, a pilot who loses his cool in the opening scenes and in the teen comedy Losing It, opposite a young Tom Cruise. But unlike many of his fame-seeking colleagues, Stockwell has always been behind the camera. In the 1990s, he quietly transitioned into directing and found a new creative identity. His directorial debut came with Blue Crush, a colorful surf film with a female lead that captured the spirit of Hawaii's North Shore. Then came Into the Blue, an underwater thriller starring Jessica Alba and Paul Walker, which further enhanced its aesthetic and tension. Stockwell also directed Turista's A Cat Run and several television projects, cementing his reputation as a versatile director who combined commercial appeal with creative vision. Off-screen, Stockwell's life was relatively stable. In 1988, he married Hella Henderson, and together they raised 3 children, keeping their family life away from the Hollywood spotlight. Today, at age 64, Stockwell continues to work steadily in the industry, directing and producing with the same calm and disciplined demeanor he displayed early in his acting career. John Stockwell didn't just play a loyal friend. He lived a loyal life, devoted to his profession, his family, and his quiet success, which didn't always make headlines but endured. William Ostrander as Buddy Repperton. Few characters in Christine are as frighteningly realistic as Buddy Repperton, an impulsive bully whose rage sets a series of tragic events in motion. William Ostrander, then 24, plays Buddy with chilling realism. His growling, violent outbursts and physical intimidation are not just staged. They sound disturbingly plausible. He's the kind of school bully everyone secretly fears, and thanks to Ostrander's performance, audiences will never forget him. Born on September 21, 1959, William Ostrander was never meant to be a villain, but his portrayal of Buddy Repperton is so convincing that it becomes one of the most memorable scenes in the early Christine films. As the story unfolds and Arnie transforms, Buddy's abuse becomes a powerful emotional trigger. Without Ostrander's explosive energy, Arnie's obsessive quest for revenge might not seem as justified or tragic. After Christine, Ostrander appeared in action films such as Hell Fury with Arnold Schwarzenegger and made guest appearances on television series in the 1980s and early 1990s. However, unlike many actors seeking fame, Ostrander quietly withdrew from public life. the spotlight never defined him. In the mid-90s, he changed scenarios for the country. After leaving Hollywood, Ostrander became an organic farmer and environmental activist in rural California. His focus has shifted from acting to social issues, particularly sustainable agriculture, clean energy, and local activism. He literally jumped in and built a new legacy, rooted in community rather than celebrity. In 2016, Ostrander returned to the headlines not in film, but in politics. He ran for Congress in California's 24th Congressional District as a Democrat, advocating for education reform, renewable energy, and environmental responsibility. Although he did not win, his campaign was admired for its honesty and commitment to real change. He was a rare example of a former actor who refused to be defined by fame and instead chose to lead by example. Now 66, William Ostrander lives a quiet life with his family. He teaches workshops on policy and sustainable agriculture, continues to speak at community forums, and maintains his passion for environmental justice. His journey from screen tyrant to socially engaged farmer is remarkable. William Ostrander, though gone from the screen, is not gone. He has evolved. Christine Belford as Regina Cunningham. In Christine, the horror doesn't just start in the supernatural car. It starts in your own home. Christine Belford gives a chilling performance as Regina Cunningham, Arnie's emotionally distant and overbearing mother. With his cool authority and quiet control, Belford conveys the kind of parental pressure that suffocates rather than nourishes. Her performance is not flashy, but it resonates. It helps viewers understand why Arnie approaches the killer's car in search of solace and self-control. Born on January 14, 1949, Christine Belford was 34 years old when she played Regina. With her penetrating gaze and pithy dialogue, she portrayed the character not as a caricature but as a real woman, flawed, anxious, and fiercely protective. In a film full of supernatural violence, Belford creates a famous horror story: the gradual erosion of the teenage spirit under the burden of constant control and conditional love. In addition to her role as Christine, Belford has built an impressive career in television. In the 1970s and 1980s, she appeared in popular television series such as Magnum P.I., The Incredible Hulk, and Battlestar Galactica, often playing strong, assertive women dealing with complex emotions. She possessed a quiet charisma, never flaunting her presence, always in control and bringing multiple dimensions to even the most ordinary of roles. In her personal life, Belford has found something rarely found in Hollywood: stability. She married actor Nicholas Pryor, and the couple maintained a long-term relationship, avoiding scandal and public attention. In the early 2000s, Belford decided to retire, preferring peace to acting. In 2025, Christine Belford would be 76 years old. She lives in peaceful retirement with her husband and mostly isolated herself from public life. No social networks, no memoirs, no dramatic comebacks, just her private life. However, the fans did not forget her. Although she was never a tabloid star or a box office success, Belford's work made a mark, particularly as Christine, where her nuanced portrayal of Regina helped shape the emotional core of the story. She is not a monster, but perhaps in her own way she is helping to create one.